morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Kurian, Abraham, and Dhanam for calling me for this summit. It is a privilege and a pleasure to be with all of you here. Being my home state, but having never lived in it, it has a very special place in my heart and love coming back to Kerala every time. So, thank you for having me. It was a very challenging welcome speech I was asked to deliver. So I will beg your indulgence because I tried to look at all the themes and tried to cover all the themes in today's presentation. And do indulge me because it is a lot to cover for future of retail in India was the theme that was given to me for the welcome and opening address. So let's get started. The Indian retail industry plays a very pivotal role in India's economy. As many of you may not know, it accounts for 10% of the country's GDP and generates employment for about 8% of the population. You can imagine in a large country like India, now slowly emerging as one of the largest economies in the world, this is a very big deal. So we are looking at the retail sector in the last few years having witnessed remarkable growth, propelled purely by factors like increased urbanization, a rise in disposable incomes, improved logistics, increase in product offerings, assortment, SKUs, and digital accessibility for rural consumers. Today, India is already amongst the top 5 retail markets and is expected to be the world's third largest consumer market by 2030, trailing only behind the US and China. So, the growth trajectory demonstrates immense potential and promising future for the Indian retail industry. So, as the country continues to develop and embrace technological advancements along with ongoing efforts to enhance infrastructure and consumer reach, the Indian retail sector is really poised for massive expansion. India's retail industry has always been a vibrant and dynamic sector, deeply embedded in the country's economic and cultural fabric. In recent years, it has undergone significant transformations, adapting to changing consumer preferences, technological advancements, and evolving market dynamics. E-commerce will continue its exponential growth and surpass organized retail in scale and size. This is phenomenal considering the late start that India has had as far as e-commerce is concerned. So growth in incomes and demographic changes will also usher in a faster pace of luxury retail in India. So, this augurs well all these factors. If you look at the profile for the consuming cohorts, you'll see the largest segments in retail is food and grocery, consumer durables, apparel, gems and jewelry, furniture, beauty and personal care, and now pharmacy is also catching up very fast. So you can see that 65% of India's population would continue to belong to the key consuming cohort of a demographic pattern of 15 to 59 years till 2030. And what is very interesting to note is that in India's projected trajectory, there is going to be an addition of 110 million households of middle income, which is currently 190, which means it will go to 300 million, and 14 million high income households, which is currently 15, so almost doubling to 29, ushering in for luxury retail consuming cohorts for the years to come. So we are really poised very well if you see where we are. So another interesting dimension is the rise of the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. If you see, interestingly, the Tier 2 and Tier 3 are now very quickly competing with the metro and Tier 1. And this development has really happened in the last couple of years, where Tier 2 and Tier 3 have really taken on. And if you see the rural markets, this is huge. And this is really what offers immense opportunity, not just for the offline retailers, but also the online retailers. In fact, the rapid growth of e-commerce in Tier 2 and Tier 3 is reshaping the retail landscape in India. And these cities now account for over 60% of the total orders, outpacing Tier 1 markets. And Tier 3 cities experienced a 65% increase in volume growth, and Tier 2 witnessed a 50%, while Tier 1 saw only a 10% growth in volumes. So you can imagine how important the Tier 3, Tier 4 and the rural markets are going to be in the years to come. So again, something which augurs very well for India. So if you look at what is the forces shaping Indian retail, so really speaking, I will bucket this under changing consumers, society and culture, experiential technology, industry upheaval, climate and planet, and of course the underlying economic policies and the other facilitating factors for Indian retail. I'll go through all these in a little more detail, so I won't cover it in this slide. If you look at the changing consumers, India has experienced a substantial rise in disposable income, especially in the growing middle class. In fact, additionally, India's demographic is undergoing a shift characterized by a surge in urban young, predominantly led by millennials and Gen Zs. In fact, the rise in per capita income from $1,400 in 2014 to upwards of $2,200 in 2022 is a very, very important milestone for this country. While we are still much lower than the developed economies of the world, this 2,200 is, I'm told, almost like a shifting point. It's a pivot point for consumption. And we will start seeing much higher economic growth and consumer, offtakes in the coming years. 72% of the millennials and 60% Gen Zs are willing to pay a premium for comprehensive after-sales support. So you can see that this particular group of consumers are willing to pay a premium for quicker delivery, flexibility in product returns, etc. So we're going to see a big shift in the coming years in this category. This I've already alluded to. So if you look at the graph here, the age group of 30 to 59 and 15 to 29, which is really the consuming, maximum consuming class as we see it, because they're almost working class, they're not retired, they're not too young, is going to go up from 90 to 95%. This is a very important dimension for the Indian retail. Many of you have heard of the demographic dividend, which is attributed to India. So this is really the data behind that demographics. If you look at society and culture, in India, societal and culture factors significantly influence economic and retail landscape. Festive occasions fuel consumer spending, boosting both traditional retail and e-commerce. The increased interest in sports mirrors a surge in related such sectors, underlying the importance of health and growth in sports apparel, equipment, fitness, and nutrition. The growing domestic tourism industry also contributes to the economy while stimulating associated areas such as airport retail through increased passenger footfalls. So we're going to see all these. And last but not the least, all of you who are in retail and particularly in, let's say, categories like apparel, consumer durables, or in fact, even jewelry, will know how important weddings play a role in India in consumption. And we are very fortunate that this year we are going to witness a fairly significant wedding season. It's not been great till now, but it's going to step up from now to March. And I think it's going to be something which we can all look forward to. So looking at the festivals, you see the kind of spurt that takes place in festival sales. You can see that there's a huge budget for weddings. Lavish and extravagant affairs have become more common and even expected. Those with means want to spare no expense to host an unforgettable event. And therefore, the modern Indian weddings, which are very comparable to the Greek fat weddings, is really come here to stay. And we can see that this industry's expansion does not appear to be slowing down anytime soon. So, weddings are in a turn a blessing for Indian retailers. Coming to sports, sports has made a very big difference in India in the last few years. If you see from our massive, let's say, preoccupation with only cricket, there's been a big shift to games like football, games like kabaddi, games like hockey. And of course, it has helped that in the last 10, 20 years, India has won twice the number of medals in Olympics and Asian Games, even though we are still far behind China and many other more sporty countries. But the fact is that there has been an increasing emphasis on sports, and therefore athleisure, sportswear, sports equipment, these have all taken a big increase in terms of consumption. I don't know how many of you know that in 2022, India's smartwatch shipments stood at 30 million, becoming the world's largest smartwatch market in the Q3 2022. This is quite an event considering, again, the late start for the Indian telecom and the allied industries. So sports is also playing a big role in fueling consumption. And of course, tourism is something which is, there has been India's tourism in 2019 grew twice within 6 years with a CAGR of 13% from 2014 to 19. Additionally, 92% of Indian travelers intend to explore domestic destinations. This increased tourism has led to an increased consumption expenditure, and in 2021, domestic tourists spent $151 billion. India's airport passengers has nearly doubled to 34 crores in 5 years from 14 to 19, and India's growth is expected in airport retail from US $1.4 billion to US $9.3 billion by 2030. You can imagine this is almost a 6-7% growth, almost 7-8% growth, 70-80% growth over this period. Now, when you look at, so we talked about weddings. Now, when we talk of technology, and I think I will not labor this point because there are a lot of people talking on technology today, but offering new experiences and convenience, consumers' preferences are shifting towards technology-driven experiences, contactless shopping, use of AR, VR, MR, and services such as buy online, pick in store, buy online, return in stores, reserve online, pick in stores. So ensuring product availability through optimized inventory management is also becoming crucial in meeting consumer demands. So technology is going to play a very big role. We can already see the role that digital technologies is playing in every consumer's experience. Omnichannel has become very important. So it's not just about offline retail, it's about offline, online, and all other consumer experiences that they are able to offer through a digitized platform. So these are some of the consumers who have used or likely to use contactless shipping, use of AR, VR, MR. So these are all becoming extremely popular in the coming time and going to become even more popular in the years to come. There has also been an industry upheaval. It's undergone significant transformation driven by the rise of online platform and substantial investments from venture capitals and private equities. With its position as the world's fifth largest economy, faster GDP growth, a young demographic and rising income levels, India has the potential to replicate China's economic success. Of course, this is saying a lot, but we have a lot to do to achieve this. This is fueled by the expectation that India's retail industry will follow the footsteps of China, where a substantial portion of retail activities occurs online, 25%. And that's the plan for India, is to increase it to 25% from the current 8%. So the transformation of the retail industry is influenced by increased adoption of digital technologies and the growing comfort of Indian consumers with online shopping patterns. The increase in FDIs has also played a very big role in the change in the retail landscape in India. There are new emerging channels. I think a lot of people today during the course of deliberations may talk about not just the D2C, but the quick commerce, social commerce, and open network for digital commerce, the ONDC. In fact, I believe there's a presentation by an ONDC senior person today, so I'm not going to labor this point. But all these new networks is going to make a very big difference in the retail landscape in India. What are the dynamics which are affecting India's retail landscape, vertical landscape, strategic partnership, private label growth? Some of India's most successful retailers are the ones who are really working more on private labels rather than brands. And this is very interesting. Factors driving adoption of vertical marketplaces is because of specialized buying behavior, accommodating touch and feel, facilitating consultative purchases, efficiency serving discovery-based catalogs, and marketplaces can create tailored UI and UX, offer curated content and feed-based experiences. So we are going to see a lot of this coming up in the years to come. This is one of the subjects that I'm most interested in, is the climate and planet. I think increased consumerism has been a bane for the planet in the last 40, 50 years. We see this through increased temperature increases, depletion of greenhouse, the ozone layer, and the whole focus of the world is on creating a more sustainable planet. Interestingly, we see our younger and younger consumers being more aware of sustainability and being more willing to judge companies and rate companies and create brand preferences based on sustainability and eco-friendly products in their respective retail sector. So, consumers are now prioritizing retailers that demonstrate a commitment to reducing waste, promoting circular economy principles, and minimizing carbon footprints. This changing consumer behavior is pushing businesses to adopt sustainable practices. I can assure you that in the years to come, retailers who do not follow sustainable practices will automatically fall off consumers' wish list for buying products. And I think the quicker retailers realize that, I think the better it is for their own businesses. So some of the sustainable practices, again, I'm not going to go into the details, whether it's new product development, which basically includes circular design. We are very fortunate to have one of the greatest designers in this country, Dali Koshi, here. So he may be talking about the importance of design at the design stage itself of creating products, and important of circularity, because now everyone wants waste to be minimized. Responsible sourcing, this is what I said, that if you are not able to follow responsible sourcing, you will not be able to give your consumers a sustainable product. And therefore, recycling, ensuring environment responsibility throughout the supply chain becomes the onus for us retailers. Manufacturing, well, very easy to say, improve energy efficiency, waste reduction, water conservation, reduce greenhouse gases impact, footprints on the environment. but a lot of work to be done by all manufacturing companies. Packaging, everyone knows, it's been in vogue for many years. More and more sustainable packaging is coming up, and therefore good future for jute-based bags, fiber mesh bags. There's some new natural corn starch packaging which is happening these days, and by using biodegradable materials, the aim is to minimize the environmental impact after disposal. Store operations, same, and warehouse logistic, again, a lot of things that need to go into it. When we come to the impact of economics, policy, I can tell you this is one of the most important enablement for retail. I remember that I was involved very actively as a chairman of CII, and CII played the most pivotal role in bringing FDI and multi-brand retail in 2012, and that's something which I was very actively involved with. So whether it's 100% FDI and single brand retailing 2018, cash and carry wholesale trading 97, e-commerce marketplace model 2016, and multi-brand, of course, 2012. All these have had a very significant impact on the retail landscape. FDI and retail and commerce has grown 13 times in the last 10 years. In fact, in the budget 2023, I don't know how many of you know that the government removed 39,000 compliance requirements, repealed over 1,500 redundant laws, and decriminalized over 3,400 laws that were creating hindrances in the growth of the MSME sector. So while this is the beginning, we still have an overregulated economy. And I think there's much more that needs to be done. New labor codes recognizing gig and platform workers, a move that could enhance workforce availability for the retail sector and reduce unemployment in the years to come. So, these are some of the things. Financial access, I think also the whole issue about skill. The National Skill Development Council, the National Single Window System for Approvals, a digital platform and a one-stop portal for investors and businesses to identify and apply for approvals, will go a long way in making India a much more friendly place for foreign investors and for foreign retailers. So a lot of such interesting initiatives at the policy level by the government. These are some of the reforms that have been carried out: FDI, ease of burden and compliance, GST, new labor code, reduction of corporate taxation, presumptive taxation, national single window clearance, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, and accessibility to finance. These are some things which are all a step in the right direction in terms of fueling retail in this country. The key enablers, again, I'm not going to go labor these points because you have somebody talking about ONDC. The National Skill Development Council has been around for a long time, and we at CII played a very big role in setting it up and making it run. The growth of digital payments, I'm sure each one of you uses that. I've never used to use it, but the last couple of years, I've seen the value of using it. And of course, logistic advancement and still continuing investments in cold chain, etc. by the government through new partnerships and new funding options which are available today. Coming to what is making a big difference in the retail landscape today. In fact, in the realm of retail, a remarkable shift has occurred, expanding the focus beyond mere transaction to the creation of an immersive and unforgettable experience. So the whole focus now is on consumer experiences. Experiential retail has emerged as a powerful approach that transforms both physical and online shopping environment as well as the perception of brands. So the exploration delves into three essential dimensions of experiential retail. Captivating in-store encounters that fosters immersion, expertise and lasting memories. Online experiences that simplify complexities and unveil new virtual realities. And brand experiences that prioritize personalization, seamless omni-channel integration and exceptional service. Luxury consumers have also raised expectations from store post-pandemic making stores pivotal for brand, communities, customer service, and storytelling. There are other things. A lot of you have heard of revenge buying. So post the COVID, when people were constrained, couldn't get out of their homes, couldn't live life as they were used to. The last year, I'm talking about 2022, saw the real outlet for revenge buying when consumers and retailers had a field day. And we had fantastic same-store growth. We had fantastic retail off-take in the last year. Unfortunately, this year, the last 2 quarters, the tempo has come down because people have overbought. And many of you who deal with international buyers will know that in the last almost 6 seasons, we are now talking about 1.5 years, international retailers have stopped buying, virtually stopped buying. And they only buy to feed, to replenish what they require for fast-selling products. And I think this has put a huge pressure on Indian retailers and Indian exporters, Indian manufacturers who relied on international retailers for their growth. I've seen this personally at first hand, and we are hoping against hope that I don't think the Christmas buying has gone great, but we hope that the summer season, the first quarter of next year and the second quarter of next year will see much better offtakes for retail and for exporters in particular. So having seen the forces and the changes, how does the future of retail look like? I think this is a summary. Rise of new commerce, which a lot of our friends today, speakers, will talk about. Technology to drive retail towards immersive, frictionless retail. The rise of the luxury market unleashing India's potential. India has the potential to replicate China's success in luxury retail. Private labels to self-sustain and intensify competition. I talked about the importance of private labels. Experiential retail, crafting memorable shopping journeys. Kirana technology, a win-win for all. So a lot of the online buyers, particularly offering quick service, are now tying up with the Kiranas to use them as a physical platform for deliveries. This is great for the Indian Kiranas. The time has come for their infrastructure to be used as physical delivery points for quick, fast, small shopping lists. And how will retail respond to this? If you look at the markets, importance of customers in offline and online, integrated customer experience, convenience over brand loyalty, new age Indian consumers, looking at the mechanics, accelerate technology investments, sustainability to drive customer retention and loyalty, and technology adoption readiness. And from a business model point of view, new commerce revolution and profitability taking center stage over just revenue growth. As you know, the number of unicorns which come up and go down virtually follow a yo-yo model in India. And this is primarily because they are all revenue driven and not profit driven. And I think private equities and strategic investors are becoming more and more discerning about putting money where there is a business model which generates profits. So I'd like to thank you for indulging me. I hope I'm not overshot. Well, maybe by a few minutes. I had a very big arena to cover, but it's all going to be dealt with in great detail in the whole day's sessions today. I hope this particular event will serve as a point for offtake of Indian retail and particularly Kerala's retail. Kerala has always been known to be innovative, has always known to be a very important point for FMCG companies in the last many decades. And I'm very sure that whether it's categories like jewelry, whether it's categories like apparel, we have a large number of people here who can innovate, make truly world-class products, and lead the retail revolution for India from Kerala. So thank you all very much. It's been a privilege and a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.